Welcome to the show today, guys. Everything is just getting crazy. I'm telling you, we are moving towards a huge showdown, and it's going to be good, especially for those that support Trump. Everybody's getting fired. DEI is out the door. The fake left news is literally about to lose their broadcasting license because Trump has just caught them again, trying to doctor videos to make things look a certain way, make the Trump administration look bad. You've got left-wing media outlets that literally were perpetuating the news that Trump passed away. Yeah, I'm not making this stuff up, guys. This is big. They literally said that Trump passed away, J.D. Vance was about to take the helm, and then Trump came out of nowhere and said, "Hey, I've never felt better in my life." Legendary response. He was out golfing. They try to say he was dead. Just crazy news that is going on today. But Trump is getting ready, guys. I'm telling you, for one of the biggest showdowns ever. Once you knock down the first one, though, the rest are going to follow. So you know we've told you that Trump is going after all the blue cities that have all this crime, sanctuary city status, and whatnot. Well, guess what Chicago mayor decided to do? He signed an executive order directing federal law enforcement to abide by his city policies. Now, you tell me, who's the real leader here? Is it the president of the United States? Is it the federal government? Or is it the state government? President Trump said we're coming in anyway, guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments because this is huge. Not only that, guys, you will not believe. So Republicans are now set to gain 13 plus congressional seats from redistricting efforts in Texas, Florida, Ohio, and Missouri. That's not even including the new census. Whenever we redo all these states that got all these millions of illegal aliens that have been counted towards their congressional seats, I'm telling you, red wave is coming. And it's just so funny, everybody. I'm telling you, you can't make this stuff up. That there was a new poll that has come out that 85% of Democrats disapprove of gerrymandering. Really? Only after the fact that they gerrymandered every single blue state like Cali, New York, Chicago, New Jersey, but now whenever we're trying to make things fair, everybody's against it. 85% of Democrats say it is unlawful, it is not right, and that it shouldn't be done. It's a bunch of you-know-what. But again, Trump's not playing around, guys. Everybody's getting caught. Trump is also working against a Biden-appointed U.S. District Judge, Sparkle Suknanen, and I'm not even joking, that's her name. Sparkle Suknanen, who is from Trinidad and Tobago, just blocked the Trump admin from sending unaccompanied migrant children back to their home country of Guatemala after the parents of said children refused to accept them back. You can't make it up. So now they don't want them separating families, but then when they find the families and they try to send them back, a judge blocks it. You can't make these people happy. It is so mind-blowing. And again, I told you, big news on this because again, the left-wing media outlets are getting crazy. So Homeland Security just called out CBS for editing their videos to make it seem like the illegal criminals are not as bad as it seemed. We're going to show you the evidence. We're going to show you the receipts. But CBS is attempting to whitewash the truth about the MS-13 gang member, human trafficker, serial domestic abuser, and child predator Kilmore Abrego Garcia. I'm telling you, we are seeing the United States being revolutionized like nobody's business. And what I love, guys, it's just America First policies. It's just common sense. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. We got a big show for you today, guys. So much is going on. I want to say thank you to everybody who is watching. We're so grateful for everybody that is a member of the channel, to all of our subscribers. And remember, if you're not subscribed, please consider joining our family, hitting that subscribe button so we can take care of you every single day. And remember, on the 22nd of every single month, we're donating live on stream to a local charity. For the month of September, we'll be donating to a local children's home. And it just means so much to us when you support us and you help us grow our giving. We couldn't do it without you. We're so thankful from the bottom of our hearts for you. And just want to say, if you don't mind doing us a huge favor of hitting that thumbs up like button, I'm telling you, everybody, right there. You know what? Let's see if we can get some fireworks going. Are we going to get it? Nope. Just a thumbs up. You know what? Sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not. But again, what I love is DEI is out the door. People are getting fired, and it's about dang time that we're putting America first. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Check this out.
And the documents she signed, we've seen them, aren't debatable. Cook hired Hunter's lawyer and is hunkering down at the Fed. So who is Lisa Cook? She's a Biden appointee who keeps siding with too late Jerome to keep rates up. She's also a DEI economist.
I think it was really groundbreaking for the Biden-Harris transition to have as one of its core values promoting diversity. It's not just racial and ethnic diversity, it's not just gender diversity, but also geographic diversity, diversity along so many different dimensions. So I'm glad that there's a focus on it.
Diversity is good for your portfolio, but managing the U.S. economy, let's go with merit. Lisa doesn't seem up to snuff. Chris Rufo says she's been plagiarizing academic papers for a decade.
Whoa.
And she's obsessed with pronouns.
How can principles of economics instructors incorporate more diversity into their classroom?
I think the first way to do it is to look at the textbooks. Last time I talked to Paul Krugman and Robin Wells about their textbooks, they were negotiating with the publisher to use gender-neutral pronouns.
Wow.
But there's one thing she loves more than pronouns: calling Trump a dictator.
My European friends told me before Trump was elected not to make fun of what was happening, to take very seriously what was happening, because they've had recent skirmishes with fascism. They know the impact of fascism, and this guy is definitely a fascist and embraces that.
When Lisa got cooked, Wall Street didn't even blink. The market's up, and the DEI hangover's over.
Guys, it's so mind-blowing how everybody, they lie, they want to change history, they want to change the books, all this stuff. And what I love is we get to expose everything to you right now. If you appreciate this, if you don't mind, hit the thumbs up like button. Thank you so much for your support. I'm telling you, the amount of times that we see things doctored, we see things changed, and it's all to fit a narrative. You cannot make this stuff up. So Homeland Security, shameful CBS, attempted to whitewash the reporting from Secretary Noem. Listen to this, y'all. I'm telling you, this is mind-blowing that this is happening in the United States. Propaganda at its finest, and Trump is calling it out. I'm going to show you in just a moment. Listen to this.
And the one thing that we will continue to do is to make sure that he doesn't walk free in the United States of America. This individual was a known human smuggler, a MS-13 gang member, an individual who was a wife beater, and someone who was so perverted that he solicited nude photos from minors. And even his fellow human traffickers told him to knock it off. He was so sick in what he was doing and how he was treating small children. So he needs to never be in the United States of America, and our administration is making sure we're doing all that we can to bring him to justice. And the one thing that we will continue to do is to make sure that he doesn't walk free in the United States of America.
Do you see that? I'm telling you, this is propaganda at its finest. Trump came out with a response. I'm telling you, he is on it. This is just crazy how fast he responds to what is going on and make sure that everybody knows his opinion. So he said, why does fake news, ABC's This Week's George Slopadopoulos, have low IQ commentator Donna Brazile on the show? Wasn't she totally discredited when she gave crooked Hillary Clinton the questions to a debate? Wasn't she fired by fake news CNN for so doing? Why would ABC News hire such a dumb retreat? Check out her disastrous interview with Megyn Kelly from years ago. A total classic. Donna is dumb as a rock. A liar. She is sloppy. Chris Christie should be fired from a highly discredited ABC fake news. They just paid me $16 million for inaccurate reporting. Now they should pay me more. Thank you for your attention to this matter. He's calling everybody out. There is not anybody that's going to be protected from all this fake news. And again, too, when it comes to how we respond to crime, how we respond to making sure that people are safe. Look at this. Trump posts and says 6 people were killed and 24 people were shot in Chicago last weekend. But Pritzker, the weak and pathetic governor of Illinois, just said that he doesn't need help in preventing crime. He is crazy. He better straighten it out fast or we're coming. MAGA, baby. That's what I'm talking about. When it's just crazy how you have real Americans losing their lives. They don't want this help, but this is from left-wing policies, because I'm telling you what, we've gotten a little deeper insight into the whole shooting thing that happened last week, and it's mind-blowing. It's across the board. Listen to this. Let me know your thoughts in the comments.
When you normalize the abnormal, the result is insanity. The horrific church shooting that took place in Minnesota didn't just happen out of nowhere. This obsession of not offending someone, allowing people to be who they are, that's what brought us to this very point. Because once again, it was a trans person that turned violent, killing our most vulnerable. You see, they're beautiful, those two beautiful children that were lost. 8-year-old Fletcher Merkel and 10-year-old Harper Moisky. 18 others were also wounded that fateful day. Many are still fighting to survive at this very moment. The murderous rampage happening while they were praying inside Annunciation Catholic Church in Minneapolis at 8:15 in the morning. The killer, 23-year-old Robin Westman. He was born Robert. His former friend, Josefina Sanchez, recalling seeing red flags ever since they were both in the 7th grade together.
Wow.
When you see something, it doesn't leave your mind. When you see something like erratic, it doesn't leave your mind. So he would put up his hand and say, like, praise Hitler.
What?
Praise Hitler. Westman's hatred for God, for Jews, for Christians, and President Trump. It was all in his manifesto that he posted to YouTube prior to the shooting. In one entry, the crazed trans killer blamed transitioning and smoking marijuana for his violence. One line read, "Gender and weed effed up my head. I wish I never tried experimenting with either."
Wow.
Despite 0.9% of the nation's population identifying as transgender, the majority of recent organized methodical mass shootings have been perpetrated by trans people. You won't hear that in the media, but that's the truth.
And this is what I want to show you, everybody, because it's super important. When we look at what's about to happen in 2026, all this stuff, remember, the Biden administration fueled it. They put money towards it, billions of dollars, gender-affirming care, all this crazy stuff, and now we have a chance to not only bring back common sense, but Republicans are now set to gain 13 plus congressional seats from redistricting alone. That's not including the rest of the states are looking at it. That's not including the new mid-decade census that they're planning to do. And this is what, again, if you have the right people who put the right policies, who show and bring forth the facts, we can get away from this craziness. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, because I'm telling you, if we don't do something about this now, if we don't win in a red wave, Trump's going to get impeached. We don't know what can happen. But again, we got to make it too big to rig. Put it in the chat, guys. Just put it in the chat. Too big to rig. Put it in the comments, because it is mind-blowing how much craziness we have to see before we actually get change.
But that's the truth. Trans mass murderers now exposing how radical left policies kill. Literally, these people on your screen, they are confused. They are also mentally ill. They're suffering from gender dysphoria, among other mental disorders. And rather than giving them the medical, the psychological help they need, they're given cross-sex hormones, even surgeries that further destroys them. Can you imagine if a child was suffering from anorexia and we gave him or her liposuction, diet pills? That would sound like madness, but that's what we're doing to these people that think they're trans. And
that's
now,
a good point.
Being trans, it's trendy. It's like a social contagion. Over 3% of high school students, 3% across the nation now identify as transgender. This according to the CDC. This growing health crisis now under investigation. Health and Human Services Secretary RFK Jr. asking why mass shootings are happening at schools and churches and only seem to be happening here in the United States.
Wow.
And it's not because of our gun laws either.
It's happening in our country. It's not happening around the world. And there are many other countries that have comparable levels of guns that we have in this country. We had comparable levels in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, and people weren't doing that. something changed, and it dramatically changed human behavior. And one of the culprits we need to examine is whether the fact that we are the most over-medicated nation in the world. Wow. And that a lot of those are psychiatric drugs that have black box warnings on them that warn of suicidal and homicidal ideation.
So what we have here is the perfect storm that's now metastasized across our nation. Leftist ideology mixed in with psychotropic drugs and children being raised in godless homes. Westman's own weapons showing his hatred for God. He wrote on some of them, "Where is your God?" He was even seen on video shooting a target of Jesus Christ right there. Also in his...
You know, it's mind-blowing because I'm telling you, like, what the stuff that is coming out today, it is mind-blowing how much they're trying to demonize Christianity, go after the churches, things like that. Even after Trump, in this sense, y'all, listen to this. They were reporting that President Trump's had passed away. And he literally came out and said, "Never felt better in my life." The stuff that tries to come out and try to switch the narrative of this is happening, it's literally just mind-boggling how backwards things are. Like, look at this that came out too. Nonsensical illegal immigration tuition policy scraped in Kentucky after the Bondi lawsuit deal. So the DOJ sued Kentucky and said, you have a policy to give illegal immigrants tuition? That doesn't make any sense. They're not even citizens. They're not even here legally. We can't follow that. Like, this isn't okay. And now, only after they were sued did they fix it. So again, it's nonsensical policies that we continuously have to fight against to just bring a sense of normality to what we're dealing with. And again, I love this. I love what's going on with a lot of our people across the board. Trump's pit bulls, especially this one, y'all. If you appreciate this, if you don't mind hitting the thumbs up like button, this is a pit bull like nobody's business. Stephen Miller, check this out.
AP poll that came out a couple days ago, 81% of voters think there is too much crime in our cities. Only 1% say it's not a problem, which is an absurd number. Can I just get your reaction to Democrat governors like J.B. Pritzker and Gavin Newsom attacking you, attacking the National Guard, attacking Donald Trump, instead of attacking the crime in their actual cities and states?
It really is mind-blowing, Rob, that the Democrat Party has sided with the 1% of the country
1%
that thinks that crime is not a major problem in our big cities. I don't think I can ever think of an issue. Look, we know Democrats have chosen some 5% issues, some 10% issues, some 20% issues. They've chosen a 1% issue, Rob. So Governor Newsom, Governor Pritzker, the mayor of Chicago, Mayor Johnson, other leading Democrat officials have said that crime is not a problem. They are 1%ers on this issue. And by the way, it's not just crime, it's also the filth, the chaos, the disorder, the homeless camps, the migrant camps. You know, I grew up in Los Angeles. The city that I grew up in the 1980s and 1990s doesn't exist anymore.
Wow.
Everywhere you look, there's needles and druggies and criminals and vagrants, and people are getting robbed and mugged and murdered. You know, it's supposed to be this beautiful coastal community, and it's been turned into this mess of violence and trash and crime, and the public and private buildings. And violence is lower than it has ever been in the recorded history of this city. Do you know, Rob, that historically in D.C., someone was murdered in this town every 48 hours? Every 48 hours on average, someone has been murdered in D.C.
And just think about it. This is the type of stuff that we on the right are being told, oh, that's not right. Trump shouldn't do that. So you're okay with a homicide every 48 hours. A murder every, like, that's okay. That's what's on your plate. Yet, again, I'm showing you all this breaking news of what's going on. Showdown looms between Illinois and Democrats because Trump's done cleaned up D.C. They went 12 days without a homicide murder. Never been done before. Now he's like, we're going after Chicago, Illinois. And it's crazy to see this, y'all. It's mind-blowing. So check this out. So Johnson signed the Protecting Chicago order. The irony is at the highest level right now. Protecting the Chicago order, a multi-departmental directive that requires federal officers to follow city policies on policing and utilizes legal action to prevent any attempts to systemically violate the rights of Chicagoans. Two things that all Trump is trying to do. Let's reduce crime. Let's get the illegals out that ain't even supposed to be here in the first place. And they sign a guys, you can't make this up. Protecting Chicago executive order. Who trumps it? Is the president in charge of federal safety of the United States? Does the Chicago mayor get to trump when it comes to the safety of America in all these sanctuary city status? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, because it is mind-blowing. Again, the stuff that we see, you can't make this stuff up. The dang executive orders that they're writing, you can't make it up, guys. Listen to this.
Until President Trump declared his crime emergency.
Yeah, the Washington Post. So we went 12 days without a homicide in the Capitol, which is the first time in more than a decade. The Washington Post this morning. How rare was D.C.'s 12 days homicide-free? Not as rare as Trump says. So no matter what Donald Trump does,
mind-blowing.
The legacy media, we used to call them the mainstream media, they're not mainstream anymore. No matter what he does, they are against it. What does that mean in 14 and a half months when the Democrats are trying to win elections again?
Yes, well, look, very importantly, there have been, so the police have been on the street. The military has been on the street. Federal cops have been on the street. There have been no public slayings, no public killings. Look, every homicide is tragic, but nobody out on the street, the way that has been happening in D.C. forever, has been slaughtered, has been killed. No stray bullets and any drive-by shootings have claimed any lives. No gang shootouts on the street. That has never happened before, and that is what President Trump has achieved. It is nothing short of miraculous. This issue is going to figure so prominently in the midterms because there's never been a starker contrast. Look, the Democrat Party, as an institution, has put all of its time, energy, money, emotion, and passion into promoting the interests of the criminal class of this country. An entire institution dedicated to gang members, street predators, violent offenders, and criminally legal aliens.
Right.
And so their Democrat judges set them free. Democrat prosecutors won't put them in jail. Democrat nonprofits give these street killers free legal representation. Democrat politicians slash police, tie their hands, don't let them arrest anybody, don't let them jail anybody. Yeah. At every level of society, the Democrat Party sides with the criminal over the citizen. This is going to be the central issue coming up in the midterms. Do you want to live in safety, or do you want a reign of terror by criminals coddled, protected, loved, sheltered, shielded, and cared for by the Democrat Party?
All right,
you can't say it better than Stephen Miller, guys. I'm telling you. So Trump comes out and declares that D.C. is a crime-free zone amid his federal crackdown. President's post came after he deployed nearly 800 National Guard troops, resulting in over 550 arrests, a 40% drop in robberies. It's just plain common sense. If you can't protect the city or the people with what you got now, you gotta add more. Plain and simple. That's what I don't get. And again, too, it's just across the board. I want to show you some of this because, again, all this has to do with money. It's always about following the money. Always about where the money's going to flow, who it's flowing to, how much people are getting paid. That's why the Democrats just hated whenever USAID got shut down, because then, oh no, there's no slush fund money anymore. And now that you got somebody that Trump's got at the highest level, Treasury Secretary kicking butt, Scott Bessent. Let me know your thoughts in the comments if you appreciate this. If you don't mind hitting the thumbs up like button. This is a big one, y'all. I'm telling you, what's about to come next is going to shake the entire United States for the good, but it is 100% an America first policy. Listen to this.
Talk about the Fed chair, Jerome Powell. You've said that you think the next Fed chair must be independent and forward-looking. So what qualities would you be particularly looking for in addition to that for the next person to potentially serve in that role?
This is one of the most important selections that the president's going to make. And there are really three parts to the job. There's monetary policy, there's regulatory policy, and there's the administration of the Federal Reserve System. So you're, in essence, the CEOs. But what we're really looking for is someone who's open-minded. I think we're on the cusp of a big AI productivity boom. So I'd like to see someone with an open mind who's thinking about the future rather than the past. Markets live in the future, and I think a lot of what we've seen from monetary policy over the past few years has been backward-looking. If our models aren't working, if we are always late, if we have all these economists, to what end if the decisions are bad? The Fed publishes something called the Summary of Economic Projections, and they do that 4 times a year. And I can't tell you, they're always off. When I had my private firm, one of the best investment strategies was actually trading against the Fed.
Oh, wow. You, of course, in addition to Treasury Secretary, are acting IRS head. So what's priority for getting the...
Let me tell you this. Every one of Trump's people has multiple jobs. They literally are doing multiple things, kicking butt at the highest level, and that's why you see this. Trump put out more than $15 trillion will be invested in the USA, a record. Much of the investment is because of tariffs. Trump used the actual tariffs as a negotiating to say, hey, we won't go hard on the tariffs, but you need to invest money to the United States. How beautiful is that? And then you have these stupid appeals courts that are trying to say, oh, the Trump's tariffs emergency were illegal. Are you kidding me? He said if a radical left court is allowed to terminate these tariffs, almost all of this investment and much more will be immediately canceled. In many ways, we would become a third world nation with no hope of greatness again. Time is of the essence. Like, it's always the unelected bureaucrats that are trying to control the policies that the electorate, all the populace, because Trump was elected in the electoral vote as well as the popular vote. The majority of people said, we want to do things Trump's way. And it's mind-blowing that we're seeing this. And again, too, they've already are appealing this, the tariff and everything from the appeals court to the Supreme Court. And remember, Trump's 18-0, baby, with the Supreme Court. But what we're seeing is it's time and time again how much lawfare and all this is going to try to stop the advancement of America.
Agency back to running at peak efficiency.
My 3 goals are collections, privacy, and customer service. And I think the IRS has fallen down on all those. You know, we saw a weaponized IRS for many years, and you know, we can't have that. Whichever side of the political aisle you're on, it's leaned, unfortunately, more against those on the right, but we are going to get back to a very efficient agency. We want people to understand the amount of taxes that they should be paying and not to overpay. We want them to feel comfortable with the system. So that's going to be the priority on day one.
You know, it's interesting to hear you talk about the weaponization. So what is it you can do to regain the trust of the American people and ensure that, you know, tax law is enforced fairly, but there's no political bend to anything happening at the agency?
Well, I think we've seen it across the IRS. I think we saw it in the banking industry, and personnel is policy. So I think that the IRS, the commissioner, the senior leadership are all going to be tasked with that. They have put in some fantastic new banking regulators. And I can already hear from the community banks that there is a difference in tone. We need to do some kind of an examination of how did this happen, why did it happen, and make sure it never happens again.
You have seen
I love that.
the United States bring in.
Because again, too, remember, Biden and them wanted to do what? Wanted to bring, they hired 80,000 new IRS agents to go after all of you because they wanted to make sure if you sent somebody $600 that you were going to pay taxes on that. And it's mind-blowing that now Trump is like, no, let's not worry about people. Let's just focus on the actual government that we already give money to. And let's focus on making sure that we're spending our money wisely and we have audits and we're not wasting our money on DEI and and all these foreign, remember, drag shows in Ecuador, Sesame Street in Iraq, like all these crazy, like literally involving ourselves with India, the country, India, with more than 1 billion people. We were involving ourselves with their elections with your tax dollars. And yet, again, it's all about like the people that control. It just makes me so, y'all feel my passion, y'all. I get so irritated when I see these elitists, these people that have been trying to control every single American, and yet basically ripping off our own Americans to fill out their nefarious agendas. Let me know your thoughts in the comments because I'm just loving. We have such a strong person as the Treasury Secretary.
$150 billion from the tariffs. And, you know, initially there was so much made of how would this go? Do you feel like this is finally confirmation that the way this administration has gone about trade, tariffs, and leveling the playing field is finally working?
I think it's exactly as you said. And you're starting to see in the mainstream media, whether it's Wall Street Journal or the New York Times, that even the other side or the super free market people are getting addicted to tariff income. I've been saying 300 billion, but I think it could be much higher. Every 300 billion is 1% of GDP. We got left with a mess in terms of the deficit to GDP, the highest ever when we weren't in a recession, weren't at war. So just with the tariff income, we're going to be in the fives, which is incredible. Like that, that's like running a marathon and starting 5 miles before everybody else.
Of course, you have critics, and they will say that the tariffs are a hidden tax on the consumers here in the country. But give us the reality.
If they're so bad, and the American consumers paying them, why do we hear the European companies or the Chinese companies or the Chinese complaining about tariffs if it's all being borne by the American people? It's just not happening. When I talk about President Trump's economic policy, I describe it as a three-legged stool: trade, tax, and deregulation. So either we take in the income, or the companies bring their factories back to the U.S. And I can tell everyone, he's equally happy with both. He likes the income, but he wants to reindustrialize. And, these jobs that are coming back, studies have shown that the way to middle-class prosperity is through good-paying, precision manufacturing jobs. And when I look at these companies that want to come in, that it's incredible.
Well, one of the great American companies that we've seen.
I'm telling you what, like, is this not success, everybody? And again, we're trying to get more success. We're trying to go through, bring back fairness to these states that have been gerrymandered like crazy. But it's so funny with the poll show. Y'all, listen to this. Poll show broad opposition to gerrymandering, unless the GOP or Dems do it first. So the Democrats have done it exponentially, and they've gerrymandered some of the states like crazy. And it's just hilarious that now that you're seeing on the bright light, it's being shown now, that Republicans, GOP, are trying to say, hey, let's just make things fair. Let's do fair representation. How is it that when you look at the states, there are some states where there's like 35 to 40% of the votes were for Trump during the election, yet they have zero representation in the House of Representatives? That, I'm telling you, it's all about fudging the numbers. It's all about what we're seeing and what you're about to see next. we are going to start digging down deep into everything. And what I love is our boy Comer, who's chairman over one of the committees in the House, is going after all this fudging of the numbers, even the fudging of the numbers when it came to the DC crime data. Listen to this.
Into possible crime data manipulation. Here now with more, House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer. Chairman, thanks so much for joining us. Most people don't realize, but the chairman of the Oversight Committee has jurisdiction on the White House. They also have jurisdiction on Washington, D.C. So,
did you hear that? I mean, I'm telling you guys, Comer's going to make some stuff happen. If you appreciate this, if you don't mind hitting the thumbs up like button, thank you so much for your support.
This idea that these crime data had potentially been manipulated, what have you seen? Where is this going? What are you looking for?
Well, first of all, for those of us who have lived in Washington, D.C. over the past several years, especially the past 12 months, we don't see any reduction in crime. But yet that's been the talking point for the liberal media, for the Democrats in Washington, because they knew that President Trump campaigned and said he would do whatever it takes to get the crime crisis under control in Washington, D.C. So lo and behold, the Washington, D.C. statisticians come out and say, oh, crime's down 50%, carjackings are down 50%. When we see on the news every day, multiple carjackings, homicides every day. The employees in our congressional offices look out the window at all hours of the night and see kids running around, spray painting, breaking things, stealing things. What we see is not what the statistics reflected. So we've seen time and time again where Democrats collude with people in the government who do things like the census and do things like record statistics, that we have reason to believe that they've been lying about these statistics to have a talking point to try to prevent Donald Trump from doing exactly what he's doing, and that is sending the National Guardian to control the out-of-control crime in Washington, D.C. So that's one thing we're working on. The other thing, as you mentioned, we're working with the White House now on several bills that would pertain to reining in the out-of-control crime in Washington, D.C. This is based on a city that has passed excessive criminal justice reform to the point to where you don't get arrested unless you commit a murder. And we've seen time and time again, people get caught for carjacking in the morning. They get let out. And by that afternoon and evening, they've tried to carjack again. So these are the issues we're working with the White House, and I think September is going to be a very busy month for the House Oversight Committee as we work with President Trump to try to pass legislation to reduce crime in Washington, D.C.
Oh, yeah, you want to see liberals and Democrats squirm. Wait till these bills start coming up on the floor. Are you going to vote in favor of or against, cashless bail? And these types of debates on the floor are just going to be ripe because there's one party that's for law and order, that's Republicans. There's one party that's against it, that's the Democrats. And when you all start putting those bills up on the floor and you have to force people to vote, that's going to be highly entertaining. And not just entertaining, it'll be illuminative. It'll illuminate the problem and the difference between the political parties. One last.
Just remember, right now, everything that Trump stands for, essentially the Democrats are the opposite of. They're always like, we're the opposite of. And it's hilarious because now that Trump is for crime-free, the Democrats are trying to protect more of the criminals for some reason or another, saying, oh no, we can handle it. You literally have Gavin Newsom who is sending out more law enforcement throughout California, saying, oh, we're going to crack down on crime now, this and this, only after Trump did it in D.C. and said he was coming for California if they didn't do anything. And then now we're saying that Trump declares D.C. a crime-free zone. I mean, let me know your thoughts in the comments, guys. It's just mind-blowing because it's crazy how Trump could literally solve cancer and then the Democrats would find a reason that it's wrong, or not give him credit, or something's bad. But again, I believe, let me know your thoughts in the comments, that most of the time people are getting more on the common sense train.
Quick question, Chairman. Is this also these crime statistics? I look at Chicago, I look at LA, I look at California. I don't believe they're doing. Is that something else that the committee can get after? Because the crime stats, I'm telling you, they're not on there if they don't get reported. And then they brag about how crime is down. But everybody knows that's not true.
Everybody knows it. Whether you're in Louisville, Kentucky, whether you're in Chicago, Illinois, all the big cities in America are facing a crime crisis because we have liberal prosecutors, we have liberal judges, we've taken criminal justice reform to the excesses. People aren't being held accountable for crimes, therefore, more people are committing crimes. I think if we can prove that Washington, D.C. has been dishonest with their statistics, we'll take this show on the road to other cities because we've got to get serious about crime. The American people expect somebody to do something about it. The Democrats aren't doing anything about it. President Trump is, and the Republicans in Congress hopefully will be too.
Just imagine.
Well, look,
they go out and they start investigating all that it was doctored, because I believe it was in D.C. Then you start seeing that, oh dang, they do something and they start checking out all the other cities and oh my goodness, they've doctored it everywhere. If we aren't living in the biggest cover-up, like literally in American history, and even what you're about to see next, because I'm telling you, the fight's not over. We have got to make sure that Trump gets into office. That he's already in office. That Trump's policies in 2028, Vance wins 2028, in 2026 we get the red wave, because listen to this. A lot of things are about to change if we don't get some Supreme Court rulings.
So it was a bad decision, but the good news is the dissent was very, very strong. I think it provides a very clear roadmap to how the Supreme Court can certainly rule in our favor. It dealt with three major issues and some minor ones. I got a piece coming out in the Washington Times you can get the details on. But the questions are like, is there a national emergency? Of course, people are dying of fentanyl, and the trade deficit is like absolutely devastating to this country. The tariffs, this is like a semantic issue. Are tariffs qualifying as the regulation of imports? Of course they are. There's plenty of law on that. One of the red herrings they threw out for the majority was that somehow, because they argued the tariffs were permanent, hey, memo to the court, we never said they were permanent. You can't find Lutnick, Besson, Greer, or myself, or the president saying that. If China and the drug cartels from Mexico and Canada stop killing Americans tomorrow, tariffs go away. Ditto if the trade deficit went to zero. So the bottom line, Jackie, a very good dissent, provides a roadmap for the Supreme Court. We feel very optimistic.
Wow.
If we lose the case, President Trump is right. It will be the end of the United States. So it was
I'm telling you, guys, just things are dropping left and right over what's about to happen next. And again, too, I feel like who we get kind of like the most realist talk is from our boy Miller, who literally just says it like it is around what they're trying to do, crime suppression, all this stuff. It's all a big joke to them. Guys, if you appreciate this, if you don't mind hitting the thumbs up like button, check this out.
Policy. Stephen, that's quite a change of tone. I guess once he sat down, he had to govern or think about it, or is it that he was just embarrassed by the crime issue and Donald Trump's actually providing solutions for America?
Well, look, Laura, we've seen the polling. This is a 99 to 1% issue. In other words, 99% of the public says crime is either a problem or a major problem in their community. Only 1% of the country says crime is not a problem in our nation's major cities. Think about that for a second. Democrats have chosen a 1% issue. And over 80% of the country says crime is a major problem. President Trump has shown in just the last 2 weeks in Washington, D.C., that if you have the willpower and the strength, that you can break the back of these criminal gangs. There's been a steeper drop in crime in D.C., as the mayor herself has acknowledged, than any city has seen in American history over just the last 2 weeks. Meanwhile, compare that to Chicago, where last weekend, 34 Chicagoans were shot, multiple were killed, and among the dead, a 5-year-old boy gunned down by gang violence in that city. That is the Democrat policy. bloodshed, gang violence, and suffering. President Trump and Republicans are offering no crime, security, and peace.
Well, when you think about California itself, I mean, they really pushed against voter ID requirements in California. They obviously want illegal aliens to vote. So he says, and he thinks this is a winning argument for some reason, that is tantamount to, quote, voter suppression, requiring ID and not allowing illegal aliens to vote when you read between the lines. And to that, you say?
Again, remember, you can't, we've seen it time and time again. A lot of black voices have come out and said, oh, we cannot require voter ID because black people ain't got cars, and black people, they don't got IDs. And yet we have, people that are go candid, walk the streets of New York or all these places, say, hey, do you know where or they don't even know where the DMV is at to get an ID. You got an ID? Yes. Do you know where to get an IV? Yeah, it's over there on 8th Street. Oh, okay, great. And it's just time and time again, like, the common sense of, like, how many people actually believe this nonsense? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, because it's crazy, but this is what they do. This is the lies that they perpetuate.
The single greatest abuse of voting in any democracy in the world today is the Democrat Party's policy of mass anonymous, unverified mail-in ballots. I mean, just think about this for a second. Anyone in California can drop off a ballot where they don't verify the citizenship of who submits it, the residency, the age, the criminal history, the eligibility, or the signature.
Wow.
Completely anonymous vote by mail. Voting by cell phone would be vastly more secure than a system of tens of millions of unverified, unsolicited, unregistered mail-in ballots with no identity verification, including, of course, no citizenship verification. On top of that, Laura, as we know, California has outright stolen House seats just by counting illegal aliens in the census. There are entire members of Congress from California whose districts only exist because their constituents are illegal aliens. You'll never find an example of a more direct theft of American franchise and civil rights than creating Democrat House seats comprised of illegal alien constituents.
Well, it's canceling out the legitimate votes of, thousands of Americans if they get their way. But, Stephen, the Democratic Governors Association is apparently just over the Trump National Guard plan. They released a statement.
And I want to show you this first, too, because it goes back to just nonsensical. Remember that in Kentucky, this is crazy because Kentucky's a really red state. Illegal immigration tuition policy. They literally had a policy. If you're illegal, you're not even here legally, you can get tuition for free. Scraped by Kentucky only after Pam Bondi filed a lawsuit in that lawsuit deal, guys. So crazy. Because again, you just can't make up how far the left is willing to go in order to buy votes, in order to try to stay in office. And it's just mind-blowing because, again, that's not America First policies. Let me know your thoughts in the comments because, again, too, do whatever we need to do, put America first, clean up America so that we can be sustainable.
Just a few minutes ago saying that every American deserves to feel safe in their neighborhood and community, but instead of actually addressing crime, President Trump cut federal funding for law enforcement that states rely on. You heard Brandon Johnson, you heard Pritzker in Chicago, that big event the other day, say, millions and millions of dollars need to be restored. The funds were basically stolen from them, and that's what's giving Chicago any of the trouble, essentially, that it has now with criminality. They want their money back.
I don't even know where to begin. Let me make a few points. First, President Trump just signed into law in the last reconciliation bill, the big, beautiful bill, the largest increase in law enforcement funding in American history. And some of that funding is what is allowing us to be so ruthlessly effective in dismantling criminal gangs here in Washington, D.C. Democrats in Democrat cities like Chicago have presided over a horrific carnival of violence, mayhem, and suffering for generations now, where these cities do not belong to the citizens, they belong to the criminal gangs. And now you have these Democrat governors putting out a statement attacking the National Guard, attacking federal law enforcement, attacking President Trump, and not these criminal gangs. President Trump is literally liberating our citizens from this violence. Public safety and crime is going to be one of the biggest issues in the upcoming midterms, and the choice has never been more clear. The Democrat Party at every level exists to serve the illegal alien, the criminal, the terrorist, the gangbanger, and all of the organizations that shelter and coddle them. They are society destroyers, they are city destroyers, they are family destroyers.
Wow.
President Trump and the Republicans don't care about the feelings of criminals. They want the criminals locked up, and they want our streets safe for Americans. A clearer choice has never been presented, Laura.
Man, let me tell you this, guy. You cannot make these charts that are coming out. So we've shown you about the red wave alert. Look at all the red arrows. These are Democrats that have these are states that Democrat registration has gone down. Alaska, every single state on the left, all the reds, I mean, almost every single state, Democrat registration going down. Why? Because Democrat policies are stupid. It's crazy. I mean, it's not common sense. When you don't want secure borders, when you don't want to put Americans first, that's what you're going to get. And this is where we get the red wave. Hopefully we can get more than 60 seats in the Senate during 2026 midterms. And we're going to be pushing for it, guys. We're going to be bringing out, showing you all the rhinos. We're going to be helping with our GOP and making sure we win those red seats, draining the swamp. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you appreciate this, if you don't mind hitting the thumbs up like button, we got a lot of work to do. Just want to say thank you to everybody who is watching. To all of our subscribers and viewers, we truly cannot thank you enough for all your support. Remember, if you're not subscribed, please consider joining our family here at True Life News. We want to serve you and take care of you every day with the breaking news. Want to thank all of our members of the channel, those that are giving a super chat donation, those that help us with our giving. Remember, on the 22nd of every single month, we donate live on stream to a local charity. This guy right here is donating. With your support, we have just changed so many lives. And we just want to thank you from the bottom of our heart for what you've done over the past 11 months. We've donated over $45,000. And I'm ready to cross that $50,000 mark. Thank you so much for your support. Remember, we're fully transparent. You get to see me do everything, the receipt and all. But just want to say thank you for liking our videos, sharing our videos. We're here to serve you. We love you, appreciate you, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care.